The chamber fell silent as the human delegation entered towering walls of polished obsidian, rose hundreds of feet upward, forming a perfect circle. Ambassador Diane Parker fought to keep her expression neutral, despite the overwhelming grandeur of the Galactic Council headquarters. The central platform where she and her 3 colleagues stood was surrounded by tiered seating that spiraled upward, accommodating representatives from over 800 alien civilizations. Some humanoid, others utterly bizarre beyond human comprehension, all watching with varying degrees of curiosity, suspicion, or outright hostility. The Council Elder, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate crystalline vessel, floated at the center of the highest tier, its voice translated simultaneously into all known galactic languages. The humans of Earth stand before this council for judgment. Their unregistered expansion into the Orion sector violates Treaty Section 9374. How do they answer these charges? Diane stepped forward, grateful for the countless hours of diplomatic training that kept her voice steady. We request to know our accuser, as is our right under Article 12 of the Galactic Charter. A murmur rippled through the chamber, many species clearly surprised that these newcomers would invoke charter rights. The elder paused, then nodded. The accusation comes from the Vrel Imperium. A massive being rose from the 3rd tier. Its exoskeleton gleamed under the chambers, lights resembling polished copper. The 6-limbed Vrel representative pointed a clawed appendage toward the humans. The evidence is clear. Their colony ships have entered our claimed territory. Their transmissions pollute our communication channels. Their very presence threatens the balance we have maintained for millennia. Diane exchanged a subtle glance with Dr. Marcus Reed, chief historian of the delegation. This was the moment they had prepared for, the moment that would determine Earth's future. Among the stars behind them in the observation gallery, Admiral Laura Wilson gripped the railing, her knuckles white. Everything depended on what happened in the next few minutes. The Earth Defense Fleet waited at the edge of the system, vastly outnumbered by the Council forces. If diplomacy failed here today, humanity might not survive the consequences. Diane activated the holographic display built into the central platform. With respect to the honorable representative from the Vrel Imperium, I present Exhibit A. The 3-dimensional star map materialized, showing the disputed region of space. The Orion Treaty of Galactic Year 749 specifically designated this sector as neutral territory, open for settlement by emerging civilizations. I direct the Council's attention to subsection 42, paragraph 3. The Council Elder accessed the reference document. Through the translucent form of its containment vessel, light patterns shifted, indicating surprise. The human is correct. The Vrel claim was registered 80 standard cycles after the treaty was ratified. The Vrel representative slammed one limb against the railing. These humans do not understand galactic politics. They are children playing with dangerous technologies. They must be contained before they disrupt the careful balance we have maintained. Dr. Reed stepped forward, addressing the gathering. We understand more than you realize. For the past 50 years, we have studied your civilizations, your treaties, your conflicts. His hand moved across the display, bringing up thousands of transmissions we decoded. We learned your languages before you knew we existed. We prepared to meet you as equals, not as supplicants. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. Some representatives leaned forward with new interest, others whispered urgently to their aides. The Vrel representative chittered angrily. This proves our point. They are deceptive, dangerous. The elder raised a glowing appendage, silencing the chamber. I will hear the human's defense. Diane nodded to her colleague Amanda Foster, the exobiologist who had spent decades studying council species. Amanda activated a new holographic display. We present evidence that the Vrel expansion into the Orion sector began only after our signals were detected. Detailed scans of the region show their outposts are less than 15 years old, constructed specifically to block Earth from accessing the galactic community. The council chamber erupted. Representatives from dozens of worlds demanded to speak. The elder pulsed brightly, restoring order. This is a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Amanda displayed orbital scans of the Vrel outposts. The isotopic dating of construction materials confirms our claim. We also, present communications intercepted from Vrel Command to their border fleets. She activated an audio file. The translated voice of a Vrel commander echoed through the chamber. The humans must not be allowed contact with the Council. Their technological advancement rate exceeds predictions. If they gain allies among the galactic powers, our strategic position will be compromised. The Vrel representative lunged forward. Those records are falsified. This is outrageous. The Council elder glowed intensely. Is this true, human? Did you falsify these records? Diane met the elder's gaze directly. We request verification by Council experts. We will submit to truth protocols. Hush fell over the assembly. The Vrel representative froze. Truth protocols were rarely invoked and never falsified. The consequences for deception under such measures were severe. The elder considered for a long moment, then pronounced, "The Council will verify these claims. Both humans and Vrel will submit to examination. The matter will be resolved in accordance with galactic law." Admiral Wilson relaxed her grip on the railing slightly. The fact that the Council had agreed to investigate rather than dismissing Earth's claims outright was the first victory. But the danger was far from past. The Vrel controlled vast territories and had allies throughout the Council. If they chose to attack Earth before the investigation concluded, humanity would face extinction. Diane returned to her colleagues, speaking quietly. This buys goose time. The Vrel expected us to arrive ignorant of galactic protocols. They didn't anticipate we'd spent decades preparing. Dr. Reed nodded. The historical archives we recovered from the derelict ship gave us the advantage. But the Vrel have existed for millennia. Their influence runs deep. Amanda studied the representatives circling above. Some are watching with more than curiosity. Those from the outer rim seem sympathetic. A small delegation approached the human platform. They resembled tall, slender humanoids with silvery skin that seemed to ripple like water. Their spokesperson bowed formally. "I am Lyra, representative of the Toran Collective. We request private consultation with Earth delegates." Diane followed protocol, returning the gesture. "We would be honored," the Council elder announced. A recess is declared while verification procedures are prepared. The session will resume in 3 standard hours. As the chamber began to empty, Admiral Wilson joined the Earth delegation. "The Torans have requested talk," she informed them. "This could be significant. Their territory borders the Vrel Empire. They have suffered Vrel aggression for centuries yet maintained independence." They were escorted to a small conference chamber where 3 Toran representatives waited. The lead delegate Lyra addressed them directly. "Your presentation was impressive, humans. Few new species enter the galactic stage with such thorough understanding of Council politics." Diane inclined her head. Believed preparation was essential for survival. Lyra's liquid silver features formed what appeared to be a smile. "You were correct. The Vrel have systematically isolated and then conquered 12 emerging civilizations in the past millennium. They are masters of manipulation, often appearing as victims while they are in fact aggressors." Dr. Reed leaned forward. "Why tell us this? Why risk Vrel retaliation?" The Toran representative rippled with what might have been amusement. "You are not the only ones who have been preparing. Your arrival was predicted. Our scientists detected your radio transmission centuries ago. We have watched your development with interest." Admiral Wilson frowned. "You knew about us, but never contacted Earth." "Why? The galaxy is a dangerous place," replied Lyra. "Species that receive advanced technology before developing cultural safeguards often self-destruct. We needed to see if humans would survive their own technological adolescence. Now we know." "And what have you decided?" asked Diane. The Torans exchanged glances. "That humanity is unique. You developed faster than predicted. Your adaptability exceeds any species we have encountered. And most importantly, you prepared rather than charging blindly into the galaxy." Lyra placed a data crystal on the table. "This contains information about Vrel violations of the Galactic Charter, spanning 3,000 years, evidence they have hidden from the Council. Much of it affecting races now extinct." Diane studied the crystal. Why give us this why now? Because the balance of power has stagnated, responded. Lyra, the Vrel, and their allies grow stronger. While the council weakens, corruption spreads. Fear dominates decision-making. A new voice is needed. One unbound by ancient feuds and alliances. Admiral Wilson regarded the Torrent skeptically. And you believe humanity is that voice? We believe humanity might survive long enough to become that voice. The Torrent delegate stood. We will support your petition to join the council. We have already contacted other delegations who share our concerns. The Vrel have many enemies. Few have dared to oppose them openly. You have provided the opportunity after the Torrens departed. Dr. Reed examined the data crystal with portable scanners. It appears genuine, he confirmed. Contains historical records, treaty violations, military movements enough to severely damage Vrel standing in the council. Diane paced the chamber. This changes. The massive doors of the Grand Council chamber parted with a sound like distant thunder. Human Ambassador Kate Monroe fought to keep her expression neutral as she led the small Earth delegation into the most powerful political arena in the known. Universe 5 humans against 5,000 alien representatives. She could feel the weight of countless eyes, tentacles, sensory organs, and scanning devices all focused on their entrance. The chamber itself defied comprehension, a vast spherical space that seemed to bend reality at its edges. Rings of platforms orbited slowly around a central dais where the 7 high counselors resided. Beings so ancient and evolved, they appeared almost as living constellations against the backdrop of space, visible through the transparent ceiling. Admiral Liam Harris whispered beside her. Did we make the right choice coming here? Kate maintained her dignified pace. Neither speeding up nor slowing down would project confidence. Their approach to the central platform had been calculated to the second. I believe we did, she responded quietly. Whether they chose to hear us or not, we needed to see them, to understand what we're facing. The Earth had discovered the existence of the Galactic Council only 18 months earlier when a damaged scout ship from the Proxima Coalition crashed in the Arctic Circle. The dying pilot had warned them, the Council is voting on your quarantine. Prepare yourselves. What followed was the most intensive diplomatic preparation. In human history, Kate had been selected to represent humanity, not because of political connections, but because of her background in xenoanthropology and conflict resolution. She understood alien psychology better than anyone. Your species stands before this assembly unannounced and uninvited. The voice of the first counselor resonated directly in their minds, a telepathic broadcast that somehow maintained the cadence and tone of spoken language. State your purpose. Kate stepped forward, her voice steady despite the overwhelming presence of the ancient being. Earth respectfully requests to address the full council regarding the proposed quarantine of our system and the motion to restrict human expansion beyond our planetary boundaries. A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. How does your kind know of council deliberations? Demanded the second counselor, a being composed of interlocking geometric shapes that constantly rearranged themselves. Your world is unlisted. Your species. Unrecognized. Kate gestured to Dr. Eleanor Wright, who activated a small holographic projector. Our system received an unexpected visitor, she explained as the image of the crashed alien vessel appeared. We learned much in our conversations with the pilot before they succumbed to their injuries. Noise erupted throughout the chamber as thousands of representatives reacted. Some shouting in outrage, others conferencing urgently with colleagues. The third counselor, a massive being resembling a jellyfish, composed of light-raised glowing tendrils, for silence. The law of first contact has been violated. An investigation must be launched. This is a distraction, barked a hulking reptilian delegate rising from the fourth ring. The humans should not even be here. The quarantine vote must proceed as scheduled. The first counselor turned its attention to the reptilian. We recognize the delegate from the Draconis hegemony. Your objection is noted. However, the humans now stand before us. They have invoked the right of challenged species. We are bound by our own laws to hear them. Kate exchanged a brief glance with Admiral Harris. Their research had paid off. The ancient texts recovered from the crashed ship had mentioned this rarely used protocol, allowing any species facing council sanctions to present a defense. Dr. Wright continued our presentation. The pilot explained that certain council factions seek our isolation because they fear human potential. She displayed another hologram showing Earth's rapid technological advancement over the past century. Our rate of development, particularly our adaptation of recovered alien technology, has been deemed threatening. The Draconis representative hissed. These humans openly admit to stealing technology. This confirms the need for quarantine. Kate turned to address the broader assembly. We adapted technology from a vessel that crashed on our world. This is not theft, but the natural progression of an intelligent species. Furthermore, she activated her own display showing historical records. We have evidence that our world has been visited repeatedly throughout our history by council races. Despite claims that Earth was unknown, we believe we have been observed for centuries. The fourth counselor, a being of living metal, leaned forward. This is a serious accusation, human. Do you claim council races have violated the non-interference protocols? Admiral Harris stepped forward. We do, Your Excellency, and we believe the current quarantine proposal stems not from concern about our development, but from fear of what we discovered during these unauthorized contacts. The chamber erupted again. Delegates from dozens of worlds shouting denials or demands for evidence. Kate had expected this reaction. Their strategy depended on it. Eleanor activated the final display. This is a star map showing every unauthorized landing on Earth over the past 300 years. We tracked energy signatures, radiation patterns, and gravitational anomalies. Our science may be primitive by your standards, but we are observant. The seventh counselor spoke for the first time, its voice like crystalline wind. What exactly do you believe you have discovered? Humans. Kate took a deep breath. This was the moment everything depended on. We have discovered evidence that Earth was once home to one of the precursor civilizations. The beings you call the architects. Absolute silence fell over the chamber. For several heartbeats, not a sound could be heard. Then chaos erupted. Representatives shouted accusations of lies and fabrications while others demanded to see evidence. The high counselors conferred among themselves, light patterns flowing between them. The first counselor silenced the chamber once more. These are extraordinary claims, Ambassador. They cannot be accepted without extraordinary evidence. Kate nodded to the final member of their delegation. Professor Ben Mitchell, who had spent decades studying strange archaeological anomalies around Earth. We present this as evidence. He carefully removed a small object from a secured case. The artifact glowed with an inner light. Geometric patterns shifting across its surface in impossible ways. It was smaller than a human hand, yet somehow gave the impression of vast scale, as if one were looking at a galaxy condensed into a handheld device. The reaction was immediate. Several council members physically recoiled. Others moved closer, their sensory organs fixed on the object. The high counselors all leaned forward, their attention fully captured. That is impossible, whispered the first counselor, audible throughout the chamber. The key of ascension was lost with the architects 20 million years ago. Yet here it is said, Professor Mitchell, we discovered it in an underwater ruin off the coast of what we call Japan, buried beneath volcanic ash and protected by fields we barely understand. We have found 14 similar artifacts around our world. Though this is the only one we have successfully activated, Admiral Harris surveyed the chamber, noting the reactions of various factions. This was the gamble they'd taken. The texts from the crashed ship had mentioned the architects and their lost technology, but had provided few details. The Earth delegation had to improvise, connecting archaeological mysteries to the fragments of information they'd gleaned, a tall willowy being glided down from the upper rings approaching the central platform. The council recognizes the archivist of the Eternal Records, announced. The second counselor. The archivist studied the artifact with sensors extending from its robes. May I? She asked. Kate nodded, and Professor Mitchell carefully handed over the device. The archivist interfaced with the artifact, light flowing between them. After a moment, she addressed the council. It is authentic. A genuine architect artifact, and it has bonded to the human genome. Their DNA has been recognized by the device. Uproar returned to the chamber, louder than before. The Draconis representative pushed forward. "This changes nothing," he snarled. "These primitives should not possess such technology. They cannot comprehend its importance or power." The first counselor raised a hand for silence. "The law of reclamation applies here. The humans have discovered architect technology on their homeworld. This grants them protected status under the ancient treaties. All quarantine proceedings must be suspended pending a full archaeological survey." Kate allowed herself a small breath of relief. Phase one of their plan had succeeded. They had prevented immediate quarantine, but the greater challenge remained. Humanity needed allies. Not just a temporary reprieve. "Counselors," she addressed the assembly. "We do not claim to understand the significance of these artifacts. We come seeking knowledge and peaceful exchange. We wish to join the galactic community as equals, not as subjects or specimens." A new voice spoke from the sixth ring of the chamber. "The humans speak wisely." A slender being with iridescent skin approached. "We of the Luminary Concord recognize the pattern unfolding here. The humans have been watched, tested, and now they have passed the first trial. By finding the key of ascension, they have proven themselves worthy of consideration." Doctor. The vast chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the human representative was escorted to the central podium. The circular hall stretched hundreds of meters across its walls, lined with tiered seating accommodating delegates from over 2,000 worlds. Some appeared nearly human. Others defied comprehension. Pulsing energy forms, crystalline structures, and beings of living gas all focused their attention on the lone figure, now standing before the High Council Commander. Olivia Blake kept her shoulders squared and her gaze steady, despite the overwhelming presence of the 7 High Counselors who loomed above her. Each represented one of the founding species of the Galactic Union civilizations, so advanced they had mastered interstellar travel when humans still used stone tools. Their massive forms projected both majesty and menace. "You stand accused of the most serious crime in council space," began the first counselor, a towering being with 6 crystalline limbs and a head that seemed to contain swirling galaxies. "Your species violated a quarantine zone established 10,000 cycles ago, entering the Forbidden Nexus system, activating ancient technology, and in doing so, alerting entities. We have worked millennia to contain. How do you answer these charges?" The silence that followed was absolute. Every being in the chamber waited for the human response. Olivia could feel thousands of eyes and sensory organs trained on her. The fate of Earth hung on her next. "Words, we entered the Nexus system out of necessity, not choice," she replied, her voice amplified throughout the chamber. Earth faced extinction. The Hive Armada was 3 days from our homeworld. Our scientists discovered references to defensive systems in the Nexus that might save our planet. A ripple of murmurs swept through the assembly. The third counselor, a being that appeared to be composed of living metal, leaned forward. "The Hive has not breached council space in 2,000 cycles. We would have detected such an incursion." Olivia nodded to her aide, who activated a holographic display. The footage showed massive organic ships emerging from what appeared to be artificial wormholes surrounding Earth. Orbit. Our long-range sensors detected them only 48 hours before arrival. We broadcast distress calls on all frequencies, including those provided in the first contact protocols. No help came. The second counselor, a being of pure energy, contained in an ornate vessel, spoke. "The location of your world is in an unpatrolled sector. The distress call would have taken weeks to reach our nearest outpost," precisely said Olivia. "We faced annihilation with no hope of assistance. We had one option: a set of coordinates discovered in ancient ruins beneath our Pacific Ocean." Along with warnings about something called the Nexus, the High Council members exchanged glances, communicating in ways humans could not perceive. The fourth counselor, a massive serpentine being with feathered wings, addressed the assembly. "This human speaks of the Antarctica archives, the lost database of the predecessors. It was believed destroyed in the cataclysm. How did your kind access? These coordinates demanded the first counselor. The archives were encoded in quantum languages beyond primitive comprehension. Olivia activated another display showing a team of scientists working with alien technology. We discovered a predecessor outpost 20 years ago. While exploring the Arctic regions of our world, we kept it secret even from our own population. Only our top scientists had access. They managed to partially decode the database when the hive appeared. The coordinates to the nexus were the first clear translation. Admiral Patel, who stood at the back of the human delegation, watched the council members carefully. Despite his military bearing, his heart raced. This gamble would either save humanity or condemn it. The truth about the Antarctica discovery would shock even the council, but that revelation would come later. If they survived this hearing, the seventh counselor, who had remained silent until now, spoke its voice, rippling through the chamber like water. You claim your actions were taken in defense of your world, yet you activated technologies beyond your comprehension. The nexus was sealed for a reason. The entities contained there once nearly destroyed all sentient life. In the galaxy, Olivia met the counselor's gaze. We understand the gravity of our actions, but faced with certain extinction, we chose potential survival. The Nexus defense system repelled the Hive Armada. We are here to report what we found, and what we awakened images appeared on the central display. A massive ring structure floating in space surrounded by smaller installations. Complex energy patterns flowed between them as they activated. The final sequence showed the Hive ships being engulfed by expanding fields of distorted space-time, then vanishing. The entire chamber erupted. Hundreds of delegates shouted questions or accusations while others huddled in urgent conversation. The first counselor raised all 6 limbs, commanding silence. The human testimony raises disturbing questions. The Hive should not have bypassed our detection networks. The Antarctica archive should not have been accessible to such a young species. And most concerning, the Nexus should not have activated for unauthorized users. A delegate from the 6th tier stood, a tall being with 4 arms and skin that shifted through rainbow hues. The humans clearly had assistance council protocols dictate immediate quarantine of their entire species until the source of this assistance can be determined. Sounds of agreement echoed through the chamber. Olivia felt the mood shifting against them. This was the moment she had prepared for. With respect, Ambassador, she addressed the multicolored being. Earth did receive assistance, but not in the way you suggest. She nodded to Admiral Patel, who stepped forward carrying a sealed container. The Admiral placed it on the podium and stepped back. Olivia entered a complex code and the container opened, revealing a crystalline sphere that glowed with an inner blue light. This is a predecessor memory core, fully intact. Founded alongside their outpost, it contains a message specifically for this council. The chamber fell completely silent. The first counselor leaned forward, its cosmic eyes fixed on the sphere. That is impossible. The predecessors vanished 15 million years ago, long before humans evolved. Olivia placed her hand on the sphere, activating its interface with her DNA. A holographic figure appeared above the device. A being tall and slender, with 6 digits on each hand, and luminous eyes that contained pinpoints of light like stars. Greetings, Council of the Future, spoke the figure. Its voice perfectly translated into all known languages. The fact that you are receiving this message means our calculations were correct, and the seeded world has evolved intelligence capable of comprehending our legacy. Gasps echoed through the chamber as the implications became clear. The 5th counselor, a being resembling a massive cephalopod with bioluminescent patterns rippling across its surface, addressed the human commander. You claim your world was seeded by the predecessors, the hologram continued. We faced extinction from forces beyond the galaxy, entities that feed on sentient thought. Our civilization will not survive, but we have created safeguards for those who will follow. 12 worlds have been seeded with genetic potential to evolve guardians. Each world was also given a key to access the Nexus when the time comes. The hive you face is merely the vanguard, the entity's return. in cycles and will breach your defenses within 1,000 years of this message being received. Admiral Patel watched the council members. Their shock was evident. The predecessors, the most advanced civilization known to galactic history, had apparently chosen Earth as one of their successor worlds. The hologram gestured and star maps appeared showing the location of 11 other worlds. These are your allies, the other seeded planets. Together you must prepare. The protocols to access the full defense network are contained within this memory core. Trust in the humans. They are designed to be adaptable, resourceful. Their seeming primitiveness is deceptive. They carry within them our legacy. The message ended, the figure dissolving into particles of light. The chamber remained silent for several heartbeats before erupting into chaos. Olivia stood firm as accusations and questions flew around her. The first counselor eventually restored order. This revelation must be verified. The memory core will be examined for authenticity. The human claims will be investigated. Until then, this council will recess, as the delegates filed out, many casting suspicious or curious glances toward the human delegation. Admiral Patel approached Olivia. That went about as expected, he said quietly. We're not being immediately quarantined, that's something. Olivia nodded, watching the council members depart. The real challenge comes next, convincing them to check the other coordinates. The Antarctica database contained locations for all 12 seeded worlds. If the council verifies those, a tall willowy being approached them, its 4 eyes glowing with an inner light. I am Thelok's representative of the archivists. Our order has studied predecessor artifacts for millennia. The memory core you brought, what else does it contain? Admiral Patel regarded the alien carefully. Primarily defensive protocols, star maps, and biological data. Our scientists have only decoded about 20% of its contents. The enormous crystalline doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with barely a whisper. Ambassador Jack Reynolds fought to maintain his composure as he led the human delegation into the vast amphitheater. The circular chamber stretched, nearly a kilometer across, rising in concentric tiers that accommodated representatives from over 3,000 worlds. Some appeared vaguely humanoid, while others defied comprehension. Entirely, beings of living energy, floating crystals and creatures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. This was the moment humanity had both anticipated and dreaded. First contact with the Council had occurred just 6 months earlier, when a disabled alien vessel crashed in the Pacific Ocean. The ship's pilot had survived long enough to deliver a message. Prepare your defense. The Council has voted to contain your species. Jack glanced at his colleagues, Dr. Nora Patel, the xenobiologist who had communicated with the dying alien, and General Maria Hudson, whose military expertise had been crucial in preparing for this day. Both women maintained the careful neutral expressions they'd practiced for weeks. They knew every gesture, every micro-expression would be analyzed by the assembled representatives. The council elder, a being of pure energy, contained within an ornate vessel, floated at the center of the highest tier. The human delegation approaches it, announced its thoughts translated into all known languages of the assembly. You stand before this body uninvited. A direct violation of contact protocols. Jack stepped forward, keeping his movements deliberate. We come before the Council under Article 7 of the Galactic Charter. The right of species self-determination had memorized every word of the charter fragments recovered from the crashed ship. The aliens' translation database had been a treasure trove of information about galactic politics, a fact they had kept carefully hidden from the recovery teams sent later to collect the wreckage. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many delegates conferring with their aides or colleagues. The council elder pulsed brightly. The humans should not know of our charter. Its voice carried a note of what might have been surprise. How do you come by this knowledge? Dr. Patel moved to stand beside Jack. We learned much from our visitor, she replied. She told us of the containment vote that would restrict humanity to our home system without representation. She spoke of a faction within the council that considers us dangerous, unpredictable, a threat to galactic stability. A massive being rose from the third tier, its chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber's lights. These humans admit to extracting classified information from a diplomatic vessel. They prove themselves unworthy of council recognition by their very words. Jack recognized the species from the database. The Xanthi, a founding member of the council known for their conservative stance on emerging civilizations. This is the response we expected from the containment faction, he thought. General Hudson stepped forward, addressing the chamber directly. Our visitor was dying. Ambassador, her ship beyond repair. The knowledge she shared was freely given, not taken. And she warned us of something else. She told us about the Sentinel Project. The chamber erupted into chaos, delegates shouting in dozens of languages, some rising from their seats in apparent alarm, others huddling together in urgent conference. The council elder flared brightly, restoring order. The human speaks of matters beyond their clearance. This proves the danger they represent. Jack raised his hand. Please examine our credentials before passing judgment. We come not as supplicants, but as equals. His aide activated a holographic display, showing a series of complex equations. The solution to the Fermi paradox. The display shifted, showing the mathematical proof that had stunned Earth's greatest minds when they decoded it from the visitor's database. The equation demonstrated why advanced civilizations remain hidden, why they control expansion, why contact is regulated. The universe was far more dangerous than humanity had imagined. The first counselor, a being resembling a massive cephalopod with bioluminescent patterns flowing across its surface, leaned forward. How did you solve the Viridian equation? Your species is barely a century into your atomic age. Dr. Patel adjusted the display. We didn't solve it. Your pilot shared it, as evidence of good faith. She believed we deserved to understand why the council sought our containment, a slender crystalline being floated down from the upper tiers approaching the central platform. The council recognizes the archivist of the Eternal Records, announced the elder. The archivist studied the humans with faceted eyes that reflected the chamber lights. The equation displayed is accurate and classified at the highest level. Even among council races, only senior officials have access to this knowledge. The pilot violated numerous protocols by sharing it. Jack nodded. We understand the gravity of this breach, but consider why she made this choice. In her final hours, she chose to warn us. Her actions suggest not all council members support the containment vote. The archivist turned to address the assembly. The human makes a valid point. Procedure dictates that any contested species has the right to present evidence before a final vote. The pilot may have been acting in accordance with Directive 1214. Preservation of potential. General Hudson seized the opening. Exactly. We represent potential, a unique perspective. We solved problems your scientists considered impossible. We developed technologies along paths your civilizations never explored. She activated another display showing the history of human innovation, compressed into a rapid sequence. The wheel-riding agriculture, steam power flight, nuclear energy computers, space travel, genetic engineering, each breakthrough coming faster than the last. She paused the sequence at present day. Our rate of advancement exceeds council predictions by 300%. That is why the containment faction fears us, but it is also why others among you see value in our inclusion. The Xanthi representative chittered loudly. This rapid development only confirms the danger. They are unpredictable, uncontrollable. Their inclusion threatens the stability we have maintained for 50,000 years. A new voice spoke from the 7th tier. We of the Expansion Alliance see potential where others see threat. A being composed of swirling gases in vaguely humanoid form descended. We have reviewed the humans' transmission. 53 of their mathematical approaches differ from standard council methodology. 3 show promise for solving long-standing theoretical problems. Their artistic and philosophical diversity exceeds 97% of indexed species. Jack recognized another potential ally, the Moran Collective, known for their interest in cultural and scientific innovation. He caught Dr. Patel's eye, a subtle signal to proceed with the next phase of their presentation. Dr. Patel stepped forward. The council faces greater challenges than one emerging species, she said. We know about the boundary. the encroaching darkness at the edge of charted space. The reason for the Sentinel project. The chamber fell silent. Every representative suddenly focused entirely on the human delegation OE. Council Elder pulsed with intense light. This information is restricted at the highest level. Sharing it carries the penalty of memory redaction. Jack raised his voice to address the entire assembly. We did not come to threaten or accuse. We came to offer partnership. He gestured to his aide who activated the final display. This is what our scientists call the Dark Energy Initiative, a theoretical approach to the problem your Sentinel project seeks to address. The display showed complex calculations and engineering schematics. Unlike anything seen in Council records, the archivist moved closer, its crystalline form resonating with apparent surprise. This approach has not been explored by Council scientists. It relies on principles our physics considered non-viable. General Hudson nodded. Our unique evolution led us down different theoretical paths. We developed quantum mechanics before fully understanding classical physics. We explored consciousness studies alongside material science. Our nonlinear approach yields unexpected solutions. The first counselor extended a tentacle toward the display. This is theoretical only. You cannot have built such technology. Jack smiled slightly. We have not built the complete solution, but we have constructed a prototype of the primary component. He nodded to Dr. Patel, who removed a small device from her case and placed it on the platform. The object was smaller than a human hand, a polished sphere that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Suspended, within it was what appeared to be a miniature galaxy swirling in impossible patterns. The archivist approached cautiously, extending sensory appendages toward the device. May I deter? Patel nodded. The archivist carefully lifted the sphere, analyzing it with various instruments. After several moments, it turned to address the council. This device generates a localized distortion in dark energy flow patterns, precisely the effect the Sentinel project has sought to achieve for the past 3 centuries. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some delegates leaning forward with new interest, others conferencing urgently with colleagues. Jack surveyed the reaction, noting which factions seemed intrigued and which remained hostile. The council elder dimmed slightly, conferring with the other high counselors. After what seemed an eternity, it addressed the humans. Your technology is impressive if it functions as claimed, but one device does not justify. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as the massive doors slid open to admit the human delegation. The cavernous space stretched upward for hundreds of meters, its transparent dome revealing the swirling nebula beyond. Circling the central platform were 7 tiers of seating accommodating representatives from over 4,000 worlds. Some appeared almost human. Others defied comprehension entirely. Beings of pure energy, crystalline structures and entities that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Ambassador Grace Mitchell fought to keep her expression neutral as she led the small Earth contingent forward, 5 humans against the assembled might of the Galactic Confederacy. Every eye, tentacle, sensory appendage, and scanning device focused on their approach. The first humans ever to stand before the full council protocol dictates that you address the council. Elder first, whispered her aide, Daniel Ross, a xenopolitics specialist whose knowledge of galactic etiquette had proven invaluable during their journey to this moment. Remember to maintain eye contact with the primary sensory cluster, not the ceremonial crown. Grace gave a nearly imperceptible nod. She had studied for months preparing for this moment. The future of Earth depended on what happened in the next few hours. The council elder, a massive being resembling a cross between a cephalopod and a reef structure, floated at the center of the highest tier, its translucent body pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that served as both communication and emotional display. The humans of Sol 3 stand before this assembly. Unauthorized and unrecognized, announced the elder, its thoughts translated into all known languages by the chamber's acoustic field. State your purpose. Grace stepped forward, keeping her movements deliberate and her voice steady. Honored elder, esteemed representatives of the Galactic Council, I am Ambassador Grace Mitchell, representing the United Nations of Earth. We come seeking recognition, and to address serious allegations made against our species, a ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. The first minister of the Ardelian Compact rose from the third tier, a tall insectoid being with compound eyes that shimmered. With reflected light, the humans were instructed to remain isolated within their home system. Until proper evaluation could be completed, their presence here violates Containment Directive 758. Grace turned to address the minister with, "Respect. We never agreed to any containment directive. Our world received no official communication from this council. We were not given opportunity to present our case before restrictions were imposed. This violates the Confederacy's own charter, Article 3, Section 12, the right of sentient species to self-determination." The chamber erupted in surprised chittering and multi-layered harmonic utterances, representatives turning to their aides or conferring with neighboring delegates. A council elder flashed patterns of blue and amber across its surface. "The human speaks of our charter. How does an unrecognized species possess such knowledge?" Professor Hannah Rodriguez stepped forward from the human delegation, a renowned xenolinguist, whose work decoding the alien signals had been crucial to their mission. "We have been monitoring your communications for decades," she explained. "Before you detected our technological advancement, we learned your languages, your customs, your laws. We chose to remain silent while we prepared to join the galactic community as equals." The second-tier advocate, a crystalline being that refracted light in hypnotic patterns, rose. "This admission proves the danger they represent. They have been spying on council transmissions, gathering intelligence without authorization." Colonel James Foster, the military attaché to the delegation, addressed the accusation. "We monitored openly broadcast channels, only public diplomatic and cultural transmissions. No classified communications were intercepted. We sought understanding, not advantage." The council elder pulsed with patterns that the humans' translation software interpreted as skepticism. "Yet you come here uninvited, circumventing established protocols for emerging civilizations. Why should this body not order your immediate containment?" Grace activated the holographic display she had brought. "This is why we present evidence that Earth has been deliberately isolated. Not for our protection or yours, but to prevent us from revealing a conspiracy within this council." The display showed a small vessel of unfamiliar design, crashed in a remote mountain range, the wreckage partially obscured by snow. 3 months ago, this ship landed on our world. Its pilot survived long enough to deliver a warning. She claimed to represent a faction within the council called the Preservers. She told us about Operation Eclipse. The chamber fell silent, a tension so thick it seemed to distort the air between the tiers. The council elder ceased its bioluminescent display for several heartbeats. When the patterns resumed, they were chaotic, disorganized. "The human speaks of matters outside their clearance level." Grace continued. The pilot's name was Lyra Vensurai. Her credentials identified her as a security advisor to the 7th Conclave. She showed us records of council deliberations regarding Earth deliberations that occurred without our knowledge or representation. She revealed that certain factions within this body have actively worked to prevent human contact with the wider galactic community. Daniel Ross stepped forward, activating the second phase of their presentation. "This is the data core we recovered from her vessel. It contains files bearing council encryption, specifically logs from meetings of what is called the Containment Committee." The display shifted, showing records of discussions about Earth assessments of human technology, advancement projections of expansion timelines. The most recent entry detailed plans to restrict human development through covert means, including engineered economic crises, manipulation of global resources, and, if necessary, targeted extinction events. Chaos erupted throughout the chamber, hundreds of representatives shouting questions or denials. The council elder flared bright red, demanding order. "The human claims are unsubstantiated. These alleged records could easily be falsified." Dr. Rodriguez raised her voice to be heard above the tumult. "We anticipated skepticism. The data core contains authentication codes. We request verification by independent experts from neutral factions within the council." From the 5th tier, a delegate rose, its amorphous body constantly shifting between gaseous and solid states. The Council recognizes the observer from the parallel concordate. We have no stake in this matter. Our faction would be willing to authenticate these records. Grace nodded respectfully. We accept the concordate's offer. We seek only truth and justice. The Council Elder conferred with other high officials, light patterns flowing between them in complex sequences. Finally, it addressed the chamber. The core will be examined. But even if authentic, these records do not justify the humans' unauthorized appearance before this assembly. The proper channels exist for a reason. Colonel Foster stepped forward. With respect, Elder, those channels were deliberately blocked. According to Lyra Vensorai, our official petitions for contact were intercepted and suppressed. Our ambassadors to neighboring systems were quietly redirected. Our attempts to join the galactic community were systematically undermined. A new voice spoke from the second tier. We of the Progressive Alliance have monitored Sol 3 for generations. The human assessment is correct. A slender being with iridescent skin approached the central platform. Their development trajectory is anomalous. Their scientific advancement accelerated beyond natural patterns after the Centauri incident. Grace exchanged glances with her team. The Centauri incident was classified at the highest level on Earth. The crash of an unknown vessel in the Arctic Circle 60 years ago had advanced human technology by generations. The Council Elder pulsed rapidly. The Centauri mission was exploratory only. No technological transfer was authorized. The progressive delegate made a gesture that might have been the equivalent of a smile. The official mission, perhaps, but some believed humanity deserved a chance to join the galactic community. Their potential was being deliberately suppressed by certain factions. Those individuals took action. Realization dawned across the chamber. The crash had been deliberate. A faction within the Council had violated containment protocols to accelerate human development. The First Minister chittered angrily. This proves our point. Humans are disruptive. They inspire others to break our most sacred laws. Their influence must be contained. Grace raised her hand for attention. You misunderstand, Minister. We do not come to disrupt but to warn. The data core contains more than records of deliberations. It holds evidence of something far more concerning. The reason certain factions fear human inclusion. Nodded to Dr. Rodriguez, who activated the final display. This is a star map showing unusual energy signatures at the edge of the Confederacy's territory. According to Lyra, these represent incursions from what she called the void between a hostile force that the Containment Committee has been monitoring for decades. The Council Elder froze its patterns, locking into a fixed configuration. This information is restricted at the highest level of security. How does a containment species possess it? Professor Rodriguez stepped forward. As xenolinguists, we recognize patterns. Ambassador, the frequency and intensity of these incursions correlates with increased efforts to suppress human development. We believe these events are connected.